I'm going to show you how to prepare your Substack. In today's video, we have a few goals. We have to obviously get our Substack publication domain claimed, and we also want to start the process of claiming the Pinterest account as well. There are a number of steps in between here that we are also going to cover, so just know if you are watching this video, we're going to start at the beginning for claiming your Substack domain, and then we're going to move through to actually creating a Pinterest strategy. I will make sure in this particular video there are chapters down below, so if you are just here to learn how to claim the domain, you can watch those pieces, but if you want to watch all the way through to the end and figure out how to get Pinterest traffic to your Substack newsletter, well, welcome. We're figuring it out together. Hi, hello, my name is Heather Farris. I'm a Pinterest educator and marketing strategist. I have an education company. I have an agency that I run, and I've been doing this for 9 years. I recently started a Substack for my travel blog, and I wanted this Substack to be a place for me to write a newsletter to my audience without having to have a closed system like I normally would on Kit. Now, before you say anything, yes, I know if you're watching that Kit also offers a Substack-like publication. However, I wanted it to be fast, I wanted it to be easy, I wanted to try Substack. So here we are trying Substack and we're doing it together, okay? So that is the reason behind this entire video. Now, I have a travel blog, wheelingtodream.com. I've talked about it many times on this channel in relation to Pinterest marketing and blogging. So this newsletter is a companion to the travel blog. So you will see me go behind the scenes, and I'm going to talk about the travel blog Pinterest account, how I'm incorporating Substack into it, how we're creating Pinterest pins for it, and so on. So I know why you're here. Let's just jump right into the first tutorial for actually connecting Substack to your custom domain. So to prepare your Substack for Pinterest marketing, we need to do a few things before we get started. Number one, you will need to have purchased your domain. I personally use Namecheap to purchase all of my domains. You will need to set up your Substack publication. I have already done that. This is my publication. You will need to set up Google Analytics 4. This tutorial does not show you how to do that. I am going to show you where to put your measurement ID later. And you will also want to set up your Google Search Console and connect it to your Google Analytics 4 property. I'm also not showing you how to do that today. If you want to know how to do those things, you just simply need to go to Google Analytics 4, set up an account, go to Google Search Console with the same email address and the same property as Google Analytics 4, create a Search Console account, and then you can Google how to connect them together. You connect them inside of Google Analytics, by the way. It should not take you more than 10 minutes to do that task. And then you're going to want to have your Pinterest account ready to go and logged into. If you do not have anything on the account, that is fine, but you at least want to have the Pinterest account created, a business account, and you are going to want to have it logged into so you have access to your settings. Now that we have done that, we are going to start this step by connecting our domain. Now, a forewarning for you here. You have to pay $50 USD in order to complete a custom domain registration for Substack. This is the only time I've ever run into where I have to actually pay to do this, but it is what it is. And if you want this set up this way, if you want the legitimacy of owning your domain, even though it's hosted on Substack, then you will want to do this. So click that little button. Now to get to your actual domain settings, go to settings in the bottom right hand corner and click domain in the left menu, and it'll zoom you down to the section. And you can see here it says add a custom domain. We're going to click that, and then you will see here the details that you will need to input. I am going to do this now, and I'm going to come back to you and we are going to continue this process together. Okay, so we have our domain purchased and we have our Substack publication set up. So we are going to now set up the custom domain piece of this. So you're going to need your domain registrar opened, like I mentioned, and you're going to also need the Substack settings open. To get to the domain settings, you're going to want to go to your Substack, go to settings in the bottom left-hand corner, and then under advanced, go to domain. Inside of domain, you'll see here this little section with an add button that says add a custom domain, and you're going to want to click add. Now, up to this point, I have only paid for the custom domain access, the ability to add the domain, but I have not done anything else. So we're going to do that together. So I'm going to grab the URL for the domain. You're going to want to make sure that you include the www and then the domain name. And then it's going to give you a green check mark, and it's also going to say, do you want to do root domain redirects? So do you want it to redirect from www to https, or without the www, https, and then the forward slashes? You know, you get the point. You can read the screen. I'm going to go ahead and check the box, and we're going to add 2 records. So I'm going to take this information to the advanced section on my domain. So under my domain list, I'm going to click manage. This is for Namecheap. By the way, this will look different. Your dashboard will look different if you have a different domain registrar. And then I'm going to go here, advanced DNS, and then under host records here, I'm going to add 2 records. So I'm going to go ahead and add an A record, and it says @ and then this is the value. So I'm going to put an @ symbol here, and I'm going to paste that value in. If you have any other A records, it may not work and you may need to delete them. So if you do have that, you might want to go to the Substack articles. I can post them in the description of this video and read those. We're going to go back to Substack now, and we're going to add a CNAME with the www as the name host. And I'm going to go ahead and add that next record. So look for CNAME in here. The host is www, and the target or value is that information that Substack gives you right here. Make sure you get the whole thing. There is a tiny period at the end, and click the check mark to submit that. Now we're going to come back and click save and continue on the set up your domain on Substack. And this process is going to start here. Now, this process can take up to 36 hours according to Substack, so do be patient. It says, if you click check status and it says there's an issue with your CNAME, it looks like there isn't a CNAME added to this domain, use the above instructions. It could be because it's not reading it yet. So this is a CNAME. Let's double check it. CNAME, www, and the target value. That is the same. And then you just let it do its thing. So I clicked it again, and now it's registered that the CNAME is there. So it says your DNS records look good from our end. Our system will do a few checks, and your domain name will be active soon. Click done, and it's going to take you back to this section, and you can see now that your domain is listed. The root domain redirects are currently disabled. So if you want to enable them or disable them, you can do anything with those here. I am not an expert on that. What I want you to see is the domain status is verified and that the DNS configuration is verifying. Once all of that is done, your actual Substack will convert from the Substack name .substack.com to just your domain name. Okay, so checking back in on our checklist here for getting our Substack prepped for Pinterest. We've purchased our domain, we've set up our Substack publication, and we have now connected the domain registrar, which is part of the Substack publication setup, to our Substack. So we have done these steps. Now we're going to move on to actually getting the Google Analytics 4 connected. So you're going to go to analytics.google.com. If you don't have a property, then you're going to want to click create a property or create an account. If you have an account, you can create a property. I have lots of properties. I also have lots of accounts. So we just created this one. It's already set up. We are going to go into the data stream. So to get here, you're going to go to admin and data streams. And inside of the data stream, you are going to come and copy this measurement ID. this is what you need to actually set up the analytics for your Substack. Go back to your Substack screen, and in the left menu on Advanced, click Analytics, and then underneath Google Analytics Measurement ID, you're going to paste that measurement ID in. And then you are done with connecting your Google Analytics to your Substack. Okay, so the next step in this process, and you'll see that I added another step in here, is to get your Pinterest account actually claimed for the domain that you own. Now, a little warning for you. You are not going to be able to claim your Pinterest account through the methods that are listed inside of Pinterest, through all of the methods. You can only use one method to claim your Substack domain because you do not have access to the Substack header and you do not have access to the hosting for Substack. So the only method when you click the claim is to actually use a TXT record. So that means we're going to use the same steps that we did before to actually claim the Substack domain and point it to Substack. We are going to do the same steps to actually claim our Pinterest account. So open up your domain registrar webpage again, go to settings or pinterest.com/settings and go to claimed accounts on the left-hand side, or you can go to this URL here, pinterest.com/settings/claim. That will bring you here. And then we need to actually claim the website Chronicles from the Netherlands. So you're going to click the claim button and you can see there are three options here. You do not have the ability to use the first two options with a Substack hosted domain. Because your Substack hosted domain, you do not have access to the header of the website. So this says paste the tag in the head of the website. And this one says upload the HTML tag to the website's root directory. You do not have access to either of those. So you must use the TXT file. So here's what we're going to do. Let's actually open this up into another screen, and then we're going to click copy. And then we're going to pop over here so you can actually see what this looks like. So when you're adding a DNS TXT file to your domain registrar, you're going to want to use the @ field in the host, and it's going to be a TXT record. So let's go do that now. So in the same section, Advanced DNS Host Records, add new record, and you're going to find the TXT record, and then you are going to add an @ for the host name. Sorry, I scrolled down a little bit. So here's the host name, it's an @ and you're going to paste the Pinterest site verification tag inside the value. Click the check mark, and that will get to work. This process is a lot faster for Pinterest. You don't actually need as many minutes or days to actually verify this process. So we're going to go ahead and click continue, and we're going to put the domain name in. So I'm going to come back up here and copy this again, just because it's way easier, and paste that in, and we're going to click verify, and it says verification in progress. We'll email you within the next hour with an update, and that's it. When that is done, it will be listed here. And then you are good to go with the Pinterest piece. If for some reason it does not claim, you want to repeat the process. Make sure when you click this claim that you actually are clicking copy here and you're not trying to drag in this box and copy everything out, because that sometimes does not work. Now, we are going to move on to the next step. Okay, in this step, we're going to talk about the creation of your actual Pinterest strategy for Substack. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth on the Pinterest strategy specifically in this video. I'm going to walk you through the basics here of what a Pinterest strategy is for your Substack. However, if you want more in-depth tutorials for creating your Pinterest strategy, for creating your Pinterest profile, if you want to see all of the buttons to click and where to do those things, then you will definitely want to watch the Pinterest for Beginners playlist here on the channel, and I will link it in the description down below. But to get started, I want to talk about the 3 basics of your Pinterest strategy. Now, there are more components to your strategy. I rely on 5. However, we're going to talk about the first 3 today, because these are really what you're going to conceptualize. Now, I want to just throw this out there for people who are writing stuff on Substack on their newsletter that is more aloof. It's not really searchable. This might be harder for you to conceptualize, but stick around because it might make sense as we dive in. However, I am really specifically talking to people today who are creating content that might be more searchable. So if someone were to go to Google and search finding housing in the Netherlands when you don't live there, my post on Substack might come up. They might also be looking for The Hague, Netherlands, or immigrating to the Hague, Netherlands from the United States, and my post might come up. They might search for applying for the Dutch-American Friendship Treaty, and my post here might come up. So what I am talking to you about today really is the 3 core components of your Pinterest strategy, and I'm really talking to those people who are already creating more searchable style content. So we're going to start with Pinterest keywords, and that's going to then relay into boards and Pinterest pins. So here, let's talk about your keyword buckets and kind of where this keyword strategy starts on Pinterest. So your keyword buckets, each topic that you talk about on Pinterest is more or less an umbrella or a bucket, and inside of that or underneath it is going to be subtopics that you will also do additional keyword research on, but may also go on to become Pinterest boards. And then obviously these things will go on to become Pinterest pins as well. So my big overarching topic here for the entire Substack newsletter is we moved to the Netherlands. Underneath that umbrella is going to be topics like housing, school, the financial component of doing something like this, as well as like moving logistics. And there could even be more like the city that we live in and exploring that, the travel within the country that we might do. And I'm going to be sharing about those things on there. So those things will populate as they come. So really, as you get started on Pinterest, you might want to start with one theme that turns into one Pinterest board, and then you can add additional Pinterest boards onto your strategy as you create more of that content. You'll see here on my Substack, I don't really have a lot of articles just yet, and a lot of the articles really do fit into the same buckets. So these are my recent posts. I have 4 articles on Substack right now. That's not a lot, which means that my Pinterest board strategy is very basic for the Substack articles right now. If we pop over to my Pinterest account, and just complete transparency, my travel blog is the reason I have the Substack. So the Substack is really just an extension of the travel blog. It's my travel blog's newsletter. So you'll notice on here, I have the newsletter sign up for Substack here on my homepage. If you go to the blog, you're going to notice it in the sidebar. And then my blog posts themselves also have sign-up boxes from Substack inside of them. So if we were to go to Must Visit Art Museums, this is my most recent blog post, by the way, there is a Substack sign-up form down here towards the bottom of the article itself. There's a lot of images in here. Here's that Substack article, or that Substack opt-in, so you can start getting Substack newsletters. So these 2 things are connected together, which is why my travel blog, Wheeling to Dream, is also where I'm going to promote my Substack newsletter. So this is probably the case for the majority of people watching this. They have a website and they added a newsletter. Now, a lot of people these days do seem to be migrating to Substack to be their main blog, and that's okay too. So if you want to do all of your main blogging on Substack and you don't actually have anything else, then you're going to be starting your Pinterest account from scratch, and that's great, and I can help you do that. Now, how this relates to Substack. So I have been creating pins from my Substack articles, putting them onto Pinterest to get people over to my newsletter. I'm going to start calling it a newsletter. That is really kind of the crux of it all. So this pin right here, as well as this one here, and this one here are all newsletter pins. This is very brand new for me to do because I just started my newsletter. So I am taking the Substack images that I can create when I'm sharing my posts, and I can also create my own images. So we'll talk about pins and Pinterest strategy in a moment, but how this relates to the board strategy is I have a board called Living in the Netherlands. And then I have a few other boards, day trips, travel, things to do in the city that I chose to live in, The Hague. Those boards are also there, but when you first get started on Pinterest, your strategy might start with one single board. As you build out your content strategy on your newsletter, you can add additional boards. Now, if you've already been writing on Substack for a while and you have quite a newsletter built up with hundreds of articles, then you will probably want to go ahead and start creating multiple different boards. How I think about doing this is this thought process right here. I have one main pillar, and each pillar gets a subtopic, or each subtopic of that main pillar gets a Pinterest board. That's a better way to phrase that. So we have the main topic of, for me, it's called Living in the Netherlands, but it should probably say moving to the Netherlands. And then underneath that, I could create additional Pinterest boards on my profile for how to find housing in the Netherlands, or house hunting in the Netherlands, schools in the Netherlands, and so on. So we can start with that one main Pinterest board. I think that's a lot less difficult for most people, and then you can build out your board strategy later. Now, let's talk about the Pinterest pins. So I was just showing you a couple of the pins that I've created already for newsletters. And I have some examples for that finding housing post. I created 3 additional pins. So you saw this one. I also have this version here. And then I have this third version here. So I've created 3 different standalone Pinterest pins. And then I can also show you exactly how I'm creating those Substack images for Pinterest specifically. So you want to go to your posts tab, and then inside of the post tab, you want to choose the post. And generally, I believe you have to do this through view post, and then you want to go to get share images, and it's going to take you to that section where you can share the post as an image, and you can create an image, or you can scroll through the ones they've already created for you. I really like this Instagram story size version, so I'm going to go ahead and download this one. I'm going to save that image as, I guess, that random set of numbers. That's fine. And then I'm going to pop over to the Pinterest account, and I'm going to upload that Pinterest pin over here. So I'm going to go to downloads. I'm going to drag that in. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it a name, a description. So the name is your Pinterest title, your description, and your link. The link to this Substack, I would rather you, instead of pulling the link from here, this open.substack.com, I would rather you go to the web version of it and pull out this version, because you can see it's chronicles from the Netherlands.substack.com. It's not going to force open the web app or your phone app, essentially. We don't necessarily want it to do that. So we're going to go ahead and go with this version here. And then the easiest really way to do this is to go ahead and copy the same title for the purpose of this video, at least. And then I'm going to just maybe copy the first description here. I would definitely write a very solid title and description for this. I wouldn't just copy what's in the Substack. You want to add a really good pin title that includes a keyword, and you want to add Pinterest description, a pin description here that includes 4 to 5 different keywords. Put it on the most appropriate board, and then go ahead and click publish. And I'll show you what this looks like now that we're done. There is that pin, and if I click on visit site, it's going to then take me to that article, and here it is. And that's great. So now that is done. So your Pinterest pins don't just consist of the Substack versions and the get shareable images. You also can go to Canva, create some templates. You can pop in some imagery into any of these that you want. If you want to use stock photos, you can. If you want to use photos that you've taken, you can. And then you want to download these. You want to write really good pin titles and descriptions. Get the URL for the post from the navigation bar, pop them into your Create Pin tab, and save them to that board that you created for your Substack articles, that very first board. And that is kind of the consensus of your Pinterest strategy as a whole. Now, for the other Pinterest strategy videos, I really do want you to go watch that beginner playlist, because I do have tutorials on there for SEO, how to create your profile from scratch. I have videos on how to audit your Pinterest account, on how to write pin titles, pin descriptions, how to find keywords, etc. So everything that you will need is on that playlist, and it was recently updated as well. Now, I know I didn't cover all of the nitty-gritty little details for crafting a Pinterest strategy in this video, but that's why we have this Pinterest for Beginners playlist. It quite literally is a Pinterest course in a Pinterest playlist on YouTube. You can just watch this, implement what you learn there, and you will begin to see results in a matter of months on your overall Pinterest account. If you want to learn more, if you want support from me, if you need strategy and more in-depth guidance, obviously Pin Profit Academy is the place for you to go. It's a low-cost monthly membership that I host, and it is turning 5 next year, which is so exciting. So if you do want more one-on-one guidance and support from yours truly, right here, okay, go down to the description down below. There's actually lots of resources linked for you down there, and I will see you over there maybe.